Hey guys, welcome back to Hanging Out with Lori. How are you? I hope you are well. Today we are going to be talking about cream blush, everything cream blush. I love cream products, but if I could only pick one cream product, it would be blush. Definitely blush. In the heat of the summer, I really turn myself into cream products. Whether it be blush, bronzer, highlight, eyeshadow, I really turn myself into that instead of powder because it's lighter on the skin, but two, it tends to wear a little bit better, I find. At least on my dry skin, it does. And so I really enjoy cream products at this time of year. So before we talk about the blushes themselves, let's talk about the tools that I like to use with them. You can use your fingers. I have serious hand issues in that I don't like my hands dirty. So for me, using my hands is like the last ditch effort I have in order to put my makeup on. I will use a sponge. This one is very dirty. I just used it to get ready. But I will use a sponge. But my favorite is dual fiber brushes. This is the one that I used for years. This is BH Cosmetics dual fiber brush. And as you can tell, the head of it is much larger than this one by ColourPop. This one is ColourPop's F4. This one is nice because it doesn't cover as much area, so you get more precision. This one is nice because it goes on a lot quicker. But of course you don't have as much precision as you do here, but this one takes a lot more time. So if I'm in a hurry, this one is the one I will grab, or my sponge, over the F4. But if I have time, I will use the F4 because it definitely works better than this larger brush head. You definitely have more control and precision, but this works beautifully as well. So if you have a dual fibered brush, try them out with your cream products if you haven't before. You can also use, this is a foundation brush, but you can use a denser brush. It just doesn't pick up quite like a dual fiber. This one picks up a lot more product, so you have to be a little more careful, but these work well also. Okay, let's get into the blush. So to me, there's kind of four different types of cream blush. You have a stick cream blush, you have a potted cream blush, you have a squeezy tube of cream blush, or you have a liquid blush. And liquid blush can come in jars, or it can come in squeezy tubes. I do have a liquid blush here, but it's in a squeezy tube, not in a jar like NARS's liquid blushes. I wish I had one of those, but I do not. But those are in glass jars. So they do come in different forms. So you need to figure out what you think, which form of liquid blush you want to try or that you think would be easiest for you. My least favorite type of cream blush are ones in sticks. Bite Beauty has these multi-sticks, and I have one in, I think this one is biscotti. And these work really nice because you can use them on the cheek, the eye, and the lip. And I took these when I went to my son's graduation, and they were great because they travel really well. And you can get a light wash. Like, these shades look really dark when I'm swatching them, but you can get a light wash of color from these products. So we have biscotti, cerise, and then mascarpone. The only reason why these are not my favorite is because the formulation is a lot stiffer, a lot thicker, and harder to manipulate. So that's the only reason why I am not a huge fan of stick blushes. It's just their consistency, just not a fan. I have Kiss and Smink's Everything Balm. This can be used, I think, as, both like this cheek eyelid and lip. And I think this is in the shade Tulum. It's very pretty. But again, I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of it, but it is a gorgeous shade. And then I have NARS Orgasm. I have not even used this, not once. I got this earlier this year and I have not used it. Come on. So that is it right there. I kind of went over Tulum with it. So this one is rather creamy. It definitely has more slip than these other ones here. So the ColourPop blush sticks, I have two. I have Aloha and Under Pressure. Now these ones are similar to the NARS multi-purpose multi-stick in that they're a little looser. They have a lot more slip than these other ones do. This one is Aloha, and Under Pressure is this beautiful coral shade. This one is drier than Aloha, which I never noticed until I swatched them side by side. So there is a difference in consistency with these blush sticks, but both of them still have more slip than the Bite Beauty multi-sticks do. The other two that I consider to be in stick form are these Revlon Cheek Makers. Now, a lot of people don't like these, and I understand. They are odd in that you have the blush here and the highlighter here. Now, they look weird. They apply weird because you take them like this and you run them over, and then you get this streak. So this is what it looks like. But if you blend these together, it makes for a very beautiful wash of color. So it's not quite that stark line that it looks like if you just take it and go like this. It does blend out into a beautiful shade. This one is Sweet Coral. It gives you that beautiful peachy pink color. And then this one is Make Me Bronze. It's got a gold highlighter and then a nude blush at the bottom, or a bronzer, however you want to think of it. This one isn't my favorite. I do like Sweet Coral more than I like Make Me Bronze. They do have a pink one. I don't have it. It never spoke to me, so I didn't get it. But I do like these. The consistency of these is nice. They do have a nice slip. They sink into the skin rather nicely, which is always a plus when it comes to cream products. So the next type of cream products that I talked about were in pots. And when I talk about pots, they can be pans that look like blush pans, or they can be pots like the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. This is Neutrogena's Cheeky Wink, and this is in the shade Mauve. I always say mauve because I've said mauve my whole life, but I've been corrected, it's mauve. So this is like a cream to powder, but it has kind of a spongy feel, not like a Super Shock in that its consistency is pliable, but it definitely has more of a sponge-like feel. This dries really quick. It turns to powder as you are working it into the skin, which is nice because you never have to deal with any type of tackiness on your skin. And I just think the shade is beautiful. It can be built up to be this really striking cheek, or you can just have a wash of color, which sometimes that's really what we're looking for with a cream blush. We're not always building it up to have a really bold cheek, but you can with some cream products, not all, but some cream products. The most expensive cream blush that I have that's in potted form is by Tarte. I suppose I should hold it this way, huh? This is Tarte's Sweet Cheeks Cream Blush. It's from their Sugar Rush line, and this is in the shade Ocean Girl. And this is a cream blush that it has a really nice slip, almost oil feeling. This is one that I prefer to use a sponge with versus a brush. I just find you are able to manipulate it a lot better with a sponge versus a brush because of that high, I didn't want to put it over the mouth, there we go, because of that high emolliency factor. This one does dry down fairly quickly. It does take some time. It's not like the Cheeky Wink where it's turning to powder as you're working it, but it does sink in. It does lose its tack and its slip. So it's not like you're always feeling like if you touch your cheek, you're blending it. So it is very nice. They only have 2 shades. I don't recall the other shade name. It's in my cart at Ulta, but I don't remember the name. But there's only 2 shades in this line. Tarte did a nice job with their Sweet Cheek Cream blushes. They are really nice. Now, it still has a little bit of cream feel on my hand, but more like, you know, when you put lotion in and as it's sinking in, just kind of that smooth feel to it. That's kind of what I'm feeling from the Sweet Cheeks blush, but it's not tacky in any way. Another potted cream blush I have is by e.l.f. This is their Aqua Infused Blush and Bronzer Duo. When I used this for my almost a full face of e.l.f., I fell in love with this, and I had to force myself to move this palette. This blush is pigmented. It packs a punch. It is close to the Neutrogena in that it goes on cream but turns into a powder as you're pretty much working it. This one definitely goes faster. This one gives you a little more time to work with it, which is good because it is so pigmented. I mean, look at that. It goes on there bright and cheery pink, and if you don't work it, if you leave it to like go in with your brush or sponge and get some and put it on that cheek and then go back to this cheek, you're going to have a streak. You need to do one cheek and then go to the other cheek, or do a tap here, and back and forth. Otherwise, you will have a streak. But these are amazing. $5 for this duo, and both of them are really nice cream products. I was blown away how good these were. I wasn't expecting much, and I had it handed to me. Then the other cream blushes I have in a pot are my Super Shock blushes. I have 5 of them, so we'll go over them quickly. A couple of them I think are meant to be highlighters for darker skin tones. I picked them up and I use them as blushes, and I really like them. Now, the Super Shock cheek products are amazing, and people don't talk about them a whole lot. This is Drop of a Hat. It's from their Chinese New Year this year, and it came with a blush and a highlighter, and I just think it is very pretty. These are really easy to work with. They don't dry down overly fast. They give you time to manipulate the product and really move it around before it dries down. It's not like e.l.f. where it just sets, or Neutrogena, which just is a drop of a hat. It's turned. These definitely give you a lot more time to work these products, whether you're trying to get just a sheer wash or whether you're trying to build them up. They definitely give you a lot more work time. So this is Prenup. This is I think a mid-tone pink, mid-tone cool pink, or something like that. How they describe it makes me giggle. But that's Prenup. And I wish that you know, people talked about the Super Shock cheek products, whether they be cream or powder, because I think they're really good. This one is Count Me In. It's a beautiful, they say it's a perfect pink, but to me it has a little bit of a peach pull. But because they're so easy to work with, these are really good starter points for someone who wants to try out cream blushes, because they give you enough time to work the product, yet they don't stay tacky on the skin if you forget to work them into your skin after you've applied them. This one is Between the Sheets. So whenever I recommend cream face products, ColourPop is what I recommend, especially for blush. I have cream highlighters by them, but I'm not as well versed in them as I am the blushes, but I definitely recommend the blushes and the highlighters. But I can talk your ear off about cream blushes versus cream highlighters. And then this one is Tasty. This is the one I believe is a highlighter, but that's what it looks like. Isn't it gorgeous? I like Tasty. So those are the ColourPop Super Shock cheek blushes that I have. So we talked about how liquid blushes come in both jars and squeezy tubes. I just have squeezy tubes, and we'll talk about them really quick. Ulta Beauty calls their Stay Cheeky liquid blushes a liquid blush. They are definitely the loosest cream blushes that I have, or excuse me, liquid blushes that I have. I can swatch 3 for you. Unfortunately, this one right here, it's their coral one. What's its name? Oh, it's Preppy Peach, excuse me. I cannot get product out of it anymore. It's pert near full. I think I used it twice and it's clogged up, and even with a needle I can't get it to open back up. But I have the other 3, so I have all 4 of Ulta Beauty's Stay Cheeky liquid blushes. They are all very nice. Now, the one thing about Ulta's Stay Cheeky liquid blush is that they all have shimmer to them. This one is Natural Glow. It's your nude blush. This one's my least favorite out of them all. It just, you know, I lose it on my skin. It's pretty, don't get me wrong, but I just lose it on my skin. These ones take a lot of work. They stay tacky for quite a while. They don't dry down or sink into your skin as quickly as the potted cream blushes or the stick blushes. So these ones you really want to go over after you apply them. Take a sponge and tap it into your skin until it becomes flush. This one is Velvet Rose. This is my favorite one by Ulta, and that's because it's a darker blush, and I like a dark blush. Now these sheer out pretty darn nicely. These are better to go in with a little more product and sheer them out, because they will sheer out, versus, see how it shears out there, versus going in with a little and then building it up. I have found that it just doesn't work for whatever reason. The formula just doesn't work in building layer by layer as it dries. And then this is Dusty Pink, another beautiful shade. So the one thing I am not a fan about these Ulta Beauty Stay Cheeky blushes is the consistency of their blushes is inconsistent. One is really thick versus really loose. This one is the loosest one, so you get just kind of a sheer wash. This one definitely has more pigmentation, but it's also thicker. It's not as fluid. So that's dusty pink. Isn't it pretty? It's my kind of shade. If that was a lipstick, it would be perfect. And then the last type is a cream blush in a tube. And these are not as loose as a liquid blush, but they're not as thick as a potted blush or a stick blush, which is the thickest consistency and hardest to manipulate. I have 4 brands that would fall into the category of cream blushes that are in a tube form. The first one is Pacifica's Cheeky Cherry Cheek Stain. This is in the shade Cherry Baby. I talked about this in my Pacifica video, in that the formula is fine. It was the color that threw me. I was thinking the name Cherry Baby, I would get something of like a pinky red, you know, something cherry colored, but this is more like a cherry stain, cherry juice stain. And this comes out rather thick, high pigmentation. So that's one thing that is nice about Pacifica's cream blush, is that it is highly pigmented. You don't want to go in like I did with a ton of product and try to manipulate that out. Now I find this one to have a little bit of oil like feel. There's just a little bit of slip to it, kind of like Tarte's Sweet Cheek cream blushes, where it has a little bit of a lotion-like feel to it, a little soft, a little bit of give, but it does have a little bit, it doesn't dry down to like a powder form. It definitely stays more smooth. So you definitely want to pounce. That pounce is such a technical word. You want to manipulate it into your skin. Same with Flower Beauty. This is their blush bombs, and I believe this one is Nude Kiss. This was my first cream blush besides my multi-sticks. And this one is a little bit similar in consistency to Pacifica. It does have a little bit more loose formula, so you can see it kind of running there. But pigmentation wise, same exact as Pacifica. I find as you work it, it becomes kind of creamier, a little thicker, a little tackier, which I find odd. It's not your norm, to be honest with you. Usually they dry down and they don't leave you with a whole lot of tack. You just need to really work it into the skin, where this one does have tack, and you just need to be really cognizant that you need to either lay down some powder on it or just wear it as a cream blush and nothing else. Now, some people worry about blushes like grabbing and becoming, the only word I can think of is splotchy, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But it's the same thing, where it becomes uneven in its color distribution. And one of the brands that people complain about the most is Maybelline's Cheek Heat. And I have the shade, what is it? Nude Burn. This is such a beautiful, beautiful blush shade. So that's what it comes out like, very much a cream product. And one thing about Cheek Heats, they can lift, it doesn't really lift, it like sticks inconsistently. So what I like to do is I just use my brush. I put it on the back of my hand like this and go in and work it, and I have a fine time with it. I use this as a wash of color versus building it up into this really striking blush. But look at that pigmentation. Isn't that pretty? This is nude burn. That is it. But if I went in with another layer here, or if I kept manipulating this, I would start to get splotches, and there's that technical word again. And so you just have to find the happy medium with this where it doesn't do that. And the brush going in, taking it off my hand and doing it, I find works best for me. I love this blush. I don't mind having just a wash with a cream blush, especially when it's this pigmented. I mean, look at there. You have this nice, beautiful sheen with this healthy glow, and it's not splotchy at all. Once I saw it wasn't, I stopped. Does that make sense? Once I saw that it was no longer kind of sticking in certain spots, I stopped, and I will let it dry and then take my sponge and tap it in. This one does take some time to dry down. There is a little bit of tackiness to it, so it's really important that you do take the sponge and work it in. But I find these cheek heats to be very nice. They're just not like some of the others that have a high pigmentation that give you that really full-bodied blush look versus a wash. So it's more of a sheer product. I have two by Milani. These are the Cheek Kiss cream blushes. I have Cheeky Coral. It's what I'm wearing today. And then Rose Romance. Cheeky Coral, I struggle with this shade a lot. It comes out orange, like brown orange, like pumpkin orange. I mean, look at that. I wore it today, and it took me a hot minute to pick up just a little bit and tap it in and come back more and just slowly work my way forward with it. If you do that, it'll give you a nice wash like that. But if you take too much, it'll give you this really funky shade. Now, this is the nice thing about these Milanis is they can be built up. I do find if you do build them up too much, they become a little clown-like. If I use this, I don't continue to build it over and over and over again because it's just easier to put some on your hand and lift some a little bit at a time and put it on your cheek until you like how it looks, and then move forward or move backward, however you want to do it. This one is Rose Romance. I really like this color, of course. It's kind of like the Velvet Rose by Ulta. So see how pigmented these are? You don't need a lot of product, but you don't really have this need to build it up more. You can, but the need really isn't there. These do stay tacky for some time, like the Cheeky Coral is still a little bit, and I really worked it in there. So just like with I keep saying this over and over, make sure you take your sponge and tap it in, and that's why it helps decrease that tackiness and also helps meld it into your skin so it's flush instead of sitting on top and grabbing everything. Those are the two Milanis. That is a hot mess, but that is it. Okay. Did you see how it got kind of uneven there? And so I went in. These, you do have time to work with them. That's the nice thing about liquid or cream blushes in a tube. You definitely have a lot more time to manipulate them before they dry down. They're a lot more malleable versus like the multi-stick or the potted ones. Those are malleable in a different way, but they dry down so quickly. These ones are malleable in that they stay loose a lot longer. They have, a lot more viscosity to them, a lot more fluidity, that it takes them longer to dry, but you also have more time to work with. And then the last one is this CoverGirl Clean Fresh Cream Blush, and this is in Sweet Innocence. I only have one by Maybelline, and I think these blushes are beautiful. The consistency is similar to Milani's in that it doesn't come out as thick as the Cheek Heat one, but it has a little more body to it than the Cheek Heat. There's a little more depth to it, a little thickness to it that the Cheek Heat one doesn't, even though it comes out thicker when it comes out of the tube. That one loosens up rather quickly. This one doesn't, but this one isn't like Flower Bomb or Flower Beauty or Pacifica's, where they're so high in pigmentation along with its thickness that it's like you're constantly working the product. So the Milani and CoverGirl are kind of in between these two. I consider these to be kind of a happy medium, probably the easiest to work with. You can overwork them where you get those inconsistent states where the color kind of looks patchy. But if you just take a little and work it in, you don't get that. This one has a high shine, which I think is beautiful. It gives you that nice healthy flush. And this one dries down probably the fastest out of all of the tube cream blushes that I have. That's one thing I like about Maybelline's over the others, is it dries down faster. It really sinks into the skin. It isn't so much that you work it into the skin versus it really does kind of seep into the skin, which I find to be nice. The other ones you need to kind of work them in versus this one where you don't. I really like this. If you prefer a looser cream blush than one, say, in a potted form, you can't go wrong with either Milani or CoverGirl. CoverGirl and Milani are definitely user-friendly. ColourPop is definitely user-friendly. Even their blush sticks, even though I'm not one for stick form of cream blushes, they're all rather friendly, to be honest with you. This Neutrogena Cheeky Wink, if you want to dive into cream blushes, but you're kind of afraid to walk away from powder blush, this is perfect because it feels like a cream and then you put it on and it turns to powder. So this is by far the closest thing to a powder cream blush that I have in my collection. But these ones are definitely the best. That is it. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I enjoyed making it. I love playing with my cream blushes. If you like cream blushes, let me know in the comment what your favorite ones are. I would like to know, especially if I don't have them here. Maybe I need to look into them. And if you don't like cream blush, that's okay. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you learned something, and I hope maybe that you'll want to just put your tiptoes into the cream blush realm, or cream bronzer, cream highlight, any of them. They're all great to just try out. If you guys would like to see this using my cream highlighters, my cream bronzer collection is not that large, but if you would like to see it with my cream highlighters or my cream eyeshadows, I would love to do it. Just leave me a comment down below. Please take good care, be safe, be smart, and I will see you soon.